Yeah, welcome to the Mwegas show. I hope sound is good. I hope you're getting me very well. So welcome to Masculinity Sunday. I apologize for starting a little bit late, but a little bit here, a little bit there. Some things have been just waiting for a minute, just trying to deal with a couple of issues. And yeah, so here we are. Welcome to Masculinity Sunday. My name is Mwegas. Welcome. And today we are going to concentrate, or we are going to talk about what is a man. Or you've already seen the thumbnail. So bring back manly men, right? So that is what we are going to talk about today. Bring back manly men. All right. So what does that mean, and what does that entail? So a little bit of a background, just to set the ball rolling. Yes. So in my opinion, we don't have manly men in today's society or in the modern society, and I blame this. I put this blame squarely on the men. Okay. I put the blame squarely on the men. And what do I mean? This is what I mean. Excuse me. This is what I mean. If I need to check something. I have to check if everything is going well. I have to check if the microphone is good. Because that is what I am. Great. Yeah, I see everything is okay. Now, why do I blame men? It is because the men drop the ball. All right? The men drop the ball in relation to family. That is where all this shit began. Or that is where all this shit went wrong. All right? That is where all this shit went wrong. When men were too weak to say no to the demands of women, to the demands of delusional women. When the men were too weak to say no to the demands of delusional women, that's where all this shit that's where shit went wrong. Okay, if men had said no to the delusions of the women of their age, then wouldn't be having all these issues. Let me repeat that. If the men had said no to the delusions of the women of their age, or in their age, or in their time, then we would be having these problems. And what do I mean? All this began when some delusional women who had it so good, decided that they wanted better. Right? That they wanted better. And then the men of their time did not set them straight, did not tell them, hey, listen, woman, you have it so good. This is everything you have. Did not open their eyes, or even if they tried to open their eyes, the women refused to open their eyes. And then the men decided, okay, fuck it. You know what? Go have what you want. Take what you want. And then what happens today is that the men of today are paying for the weakness of the men of back in the day. When some women decided we want the same rights as men, they would have been told, listen, the reason why these men have these rights is because they are willing to die to protect you. Are you willing to die to protect yourself? Are you willing to live without the protection of men? And then the women will have been forced to either agree and say, you know what, we really don't need your protection. It's okay, we can do, the way they say, we can do bad all by ourselves. Then they would have said we can do good all by us, and then the men would have said, okay, good. So now they would have been drafted into they would have gotten the mandatory draft, right? They would have been expected to go into the sewers. They would have been expected to go into the constructions industry. They would have been expected to do all these other things. But you know what the men of that age did? They fucked up. And how did they fuck up? They gave women the same rights as men without the same kind of responsibility. And that's why you have the same problem. So what is this equality these women have been fighting for if they are not, if they don't face the mandatory draft? And this has been made clearly by the war in Ukraine or the special operation in Ukraine. So all the men of fighting age were forcefully recruited and taken to the battle lines, while all the women were being shipped out of the country. So that is the equality they wanted. So this shows clearly that actually it's not, women don't want equality. And this thing has been told so many times. This story has been, this phenomena has been talked about so many times. But what happens when you talk about it? You are labeled a misogynist. You are labeled a woman hater. That's the labeling you get for just pointing out the facts. And the fact is that women do not want equality. They want special and preferential treatment. They don't want equal treatment. They want special treatment. That was the time that women all over the world, especially those Western crazy feminists, would have stood up and said, no, do not ship a single woman out of Ukraine. Give them all guns, take them to the front lines as you're doing to the men, because we are equal to you men. Right? We are equal to you men. So as you're giving one gun to a male, you're giving one gun to a female. One gun to a male, one gun to a female, and you all go to the front lines. When you are setting up those sorties and defenders and all that, man, woman, man, woman, man, woman, man, woman, right? Equality. Anyway, so my forefathers fucked up. Your forefathers fucked up. That's why you are having problems with the women of your time. Now, let's put the women aside. Let's talk about men. There has been a consistent and deliberate demasculinization of men, or a feminization of men. Men have been emasculated. They are being emasculated deliberately. They are deliberate efforts of emasculating the man, the boy child. And don't look no further than the phrase toxic masculinity. That should tell you everything you need to know. Toxic masculinity. That should tell you what these people have been doing, what the plan has been, and now they are just coming out blatantly and saying it. This is what we want. We don't want to see men being men. And that's why we need to bring back manly men. It is not something that we need to debate. This is something that needs to be done yesterday. So now, we can't be talking about manly men if we really don't know who or what a man is. So let's just start with the simple definitions. So what is a man? So I have two definitions. I have the legal one. I have the somehow legal one, or the modern one, and then I have the traditional one. So the modern one, I will do it twofold. So there is the dictionary one, which is an adult human male, right? An adult human male. That's the modern one. Now, when we're talking about adult, that has a legal definition. So an adult is someone who has reached the age of majority according to the society or the community or the nation, right? So a male who has attained the age of majority. So in most nations, the age of majority is 18 years. So A male who is 18 and above is considered a man legally in modern times. However, back in the day, a man was defined differently. A man was defined as a male who has passed all the relevant cultural rites of passage expected of males in a given society or community. A male who has passed all the relevant cultural rites of passage expected of males in a given community or society. So if you look at this definition, it does not have anything to do with age. So the modern legal definition has everything to do with age. 18 and above in the jurisdictions that consider 18 an adult, some consider 16, it is an age thing. But traditionally, it had to do with, have you passed all the relevant cultural rites of passage? So it doesn't matter if you are 40 or if you are 12. If you have passed all the relevant, the set cultural rites of passage, then you become a man. So there was rites of passage. There was so a rite of passage is something that is cultural, something that has been designed by that society, that community. Okay, it has been designed. It is something which has been designed, something which has significance and importance in that community. Okay, and anyone who passes through um, that rite of passage is recognized culturally and is recognized by the people who also practice the same rites of passage. All right. And traditionally, especially in the community where I come from, the Kikuyu, you did not just pass a rite of passage. It is not just something you did. It was a communal affair. Okay. It was a communal affair. So the community decided when it's going to take place and who is going to participate. You did not just do it. So there were stages, there were processes for you to even get to be considered as one of the people who gets to pass these rites of passage. And one of those rites of passages or rites of passage in my community was circumcision. So the separation of the foreskin from the penis was something which was very significant. Something which was very significant. Right now, you have Western nations coming and claiming, "Oh, this is what do these crazy people?" They say it is mutilation. They say I have a right to my foreskin. No, 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 no. I don't even have a right to myself. That is the communal way of life. I don't even have a right to myself. I am because we are. And it is because we are that I am. You see, people like to quote this Ubuntu phrases and sayings without really understanding what that means. I am because we are. And by extension, we are because I am. Okay? So the individual belongs to the collective, and the collective is made up of individuals. Let me repeat that again. The individual, I've even forgotten what I said just a minute ago. That's how. So the individual, right? There is no individuality. There is no individuality, right? The individual is there for the collective. And that collective is made up of individuals. So if I am good, then the collective is good. But then if the collective cannot be good if I'm not good. All right. If I am behaving contrary towards the collective, to the good of the collective, then the collective cannot be good. They say a chain is as strong as its weakest link. I am because we are. My safety, my good, my joy is because of the collective. So if I derive happiness by hurting the collective, then that's not happiness. Because happiness, when the collective is happy, I am happy. That is how the African society was made, right? That's how it was set up. So everything was for the good of the collective. Because when the collective is good, then the individual is good, right? The good of the majority. And I think even the modern society understands. And that's why they have democracy, because democracy is rule of the majority. When the majority is good, even laws are made for the majority, right? Because there is the belief that if the majority is good, then everything is good. Okay? We can't be making laws or living life to please individuals. And that's the problem with modern society. So, and that is what is crazy about when people come and say this is mutilation. Well, to you it is, because you are not part of this culture. So do not export your idiocy and your nonsense and your childish beliefs to us. We know what we know, right? It is for the good of us. There is a process. And something like circumcision was, uh, before it was done, a person had to have accomplished certain things, have shown certain traits, so that they can be considered for circumcision. All right. And then, because nobody was being circumcised alone, this was a communal affair. And then after the operation, then these young people were taken, they were secluded for lessons about what the circumcision means, and now what the next type of their life entails. And that's why immediately after circumcision, a man, that person was considered a man, and that person was married off, because one of the expectations of our community was that you had to continue your lineage. We needed to have children. And that happened to both men and women. So women will be circumcised, they will be taken to be secluded for, they will be secluded for lessons. Men will be circumcised, they will be secluded for lessons. They will be told what is expected of them. What are the consequences if they do not do as expected? So there was some sort of a class setup of education. There were ways to educate people on what was expected of them, and what were the punishments in case somebody did not do as expected. All right. So it is not just people going out and being circumcised and that's it. So a male is someone who has a man is someone, or a male who has passed all the relevant cultural rites of passage expected of males in a given community or society. So there were expectations of a man by the traditional society. It does not matter what that society is, unless it is one of those pussified Western societies. But even those ones, prior to the 1700s, 1800s, before the nonsense of feminism and equality got into them. Listen, let me just say upfront, we cannot all be equal. Like, equality is something that is an outcome that, even if it is not even utopian, it is just crazy. Why? Because nature is not set up like that. This is man trying to fight nature. in nature there is no equality. Okay, people can be treated with respect, but that does not mean that people are equal. People can be treated with dignity, but that does not mean those people are equal, right? A person who is driving a Mercedes Benz could treat a person driving a tuk-tuk with dignity, respectfully, but that does not mean the two people are equal. So people confuse these two things. Okay, yes, I will treat you like a human being. Yeah, you are a human being. You deserve to be treated, with respect, because I am a decent human being, and I assume that you are a decent human being. So I will treat you with respect until you give me a reason to disrespect you. You get what I'm saying? I will treat you with respect until you give me a reason to disrespect you. Now, that does not mean that we are equal. I treat my children with respect, with dignity, with decency. But that does not mean I and my kids are equal. I am their parent, they are my children. So that's where people confuse these two things. So there were expectations of men by the traditional society. So once you've gone through all those relevant rites of passage and you are considered a man, so what was expected of you? Number one, you were expected to man up. You were expected to man up. Before you went through this rites of passage to become a man, you could, there are some things you could do, and yeah, some people will frown upon them, but then they will understand that you are still a child, right? You could complain about everything and anything, you could throw tantrums, you could do all these things. But once you became a man, you were expected to man up. That meant that you were expected to face your problems head on. You expected to face your problems head on. You're not expected to keep dodging your problems. You could postpone the issues, you could postpone the troubles, you could postpone the making of the decision, but you are still expected to face that is your decision to make. You have to face it. So you're expected to man up. You're expected to rise up to the occasion. Right? You're expected to man up. But look at modern society. They take the phrase man up as negative. No, manning up is very positive. Why? Because it tells you that you are a man. You need to face your problem head on. Tell me how having the skill to face your problems head on is a negative trait. Please explain that to me. Oh, you're modern feminists. Please tell me. Modernites. How is that a bad thing? Getting the skills or being expected to face your problems head on. Right? Now, you're also expected to be tough. A man was expected to be tough. And this was relating to manning up. Yes, so the problem, this issue is big. This issue is scaring you. But you're supposed to be tough. Be resilient. You have to be resilient. Okay? You need to bounce back. So the last problem you faced took you out, right? So the last problem you faced dealt with you a good one. Ilikunyorosha proper. But now a new problem has come up. You're not expected to run and hide under the bed. No, you're expected to also face it head on. You have to be resilient. You have to bounce back. So what if Jana I didn't eat? So what if the produce from my farm wasn't so good? So now do I have to languish in grief and complain? And then when planting season comes, I decide I'm not planting because the last harvest was not so good. No, you bounce back, you get back into it, you learn from your mistakes last time, You understand? What did I not do? Did I not put the correct amount of manure? Or my seeds not good enough? What happened? Is it that it didn't rain enough? And my neighbor decided, you know what, because there are no rains, I can do irrigation. And I decided, no, 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 no. I'm waiting for God to bring rain. So my neighbor went 2 kilometers carrying jerrycans of water to come and water his plants, while I was just chilling waiting for God to bring rain. And so when harvest time came, he had a harvest, I did not. So I learned. Also, toughness meant emotional control. So being stoic, stoicism. A man was not expected to run around screaming because he has fallen down and scraped his knee. Just expected to stand up, dust yourself, and walk it off. Yeah, you are knocked a good one, and you felt like your leg dislocated or something. You felt like screaming. Every fiber of your body wanted to scream, but you are a man to swallow that and you walk it off, right? Swallow it and walk it off. That is what was expected of a man. Emotional control. So what if your wife is making you angry? You're not supposed to slap her. You're not expected to slap her. So what if you had an argument with another man? You're not expected to get out a weapon and attack them. No, you're supposed to control your emotions. The problem today is that men are too emotional. And that's why you're having problems. That's why in America they are having issues with gun violence. Because you can't even bump into a person in the streets accidentally. They'll shoot you. Emotional control. Tell me how emotional control is wrong. Tell me how a man knowing how to separate emotions and put them into compartments and dealing with those emotions and making logical decisions without relying on those emotions. Tell me how that is wrong. Sorry. Tell me how that is wrong. Emotional control is vital to a man because we are not equipped to think emotionally. We are not equipped to think emotionally. Let's be honest. I am not equipped to think emotionally. You as a man are not equipped to think emotionally because even our psychology is different. Women, on the other hand, are very good at doing that because women are very good at contextualizing their feelings. Like if they tell you something, don't just listen to the words, listen also to the context of those words. Men don't care about context, men just care about content. So with men, you listen to the words. With women, you listen to the background of those words, right? You listen to the background of those words. But for men, you listen to the words themselves. What is the man saying? But for a woman, what is the woman meaning? So for a man, you need to take his word for it. Don't interpret. Don't try to put your own understanding. Just listen to the words and take them as they are. For women, you need to start interpreting. So what is the subtext? What is the context? So what exactly is she saying? That's why when you ask a woman, what's wrong? She'll say, I am okay or I'm fine. But that I'm fine just means ask me 2 or 3 more times so that I can tell you what is wrong. So there is something wrong. I am fine, but the I am fine is please just ask me a little bit more. Nipembeleze, nikwambie what is wrong. For a man, are you okay? I am fine. That's it. He's fine. If he wasn't fine, he would have said. You see how different that is. But now we expect men to also be communicating contexts like women, to be emotional like women. So if a woman says, ask her man, "Are you okay?" and he says, "I am fine," she thinks that what the man says is, "Please nag me so that I can tell you I am not okay." The way when you ask her, "Are you okay?" she expects you to, and she says, "I'm fine." She expects you to nag her so that she can tell you what is wrong. And that's where problems come in, because now a man, when he says, "I'm fine," he expects you to leave him alone. All right, now let's continue. So a man is supposed to be tough. Was expected to be tough. A man was expected to be self-reliant. Self-reliant. He was expected to know how to survive on his own. On his own. He was expected to learn how to survive on his own. Okay? So that's why men are, even today, are expected to have jobs. Back in the day, men were expected not only to have jobs, not only to have jobs because work was important, they were expected also to provide for their family. So not only to be self-reliant, but to be relied upon by their dependents. That was an expectation. That's why immediately after circumcision, a man was married off. It doesn't matter whether that man was 12 years or that man was 40 years. That man was married off. That man was given land. That man was given something to be in charge of. And one of the things he was in charge of is his family. So he was supposed to be self-reliant, meaning he needed to know how to provide for himself. But not only that, he was also expected to provide for his family, his wife and kids. You're getting what I'm saying? So that was an expectation of men. And now, let me talk about this other one. This other one is going to send all these idiots running and clutching their pearls and screaming and saying things and thinking that they are making sense because they are not thinking. That's the problem with modern society. Modern society, it has outsourced its thinking to very few people in the community. People no longer take pride in using their own brains. So a man was expected to be violent. Dramatic pause. A man was expected to be violent. There was an expectation of a man to be able to use force when called upon to do it. A man, let me repeat that, a man was expected to be able to use force when called upon to do it. So a man was expected to be violent. Now, the man was raised in such a way that he knew when to be violent. So there were protective measures, which I will talk about probably in one of the future streams, about how the traditional society put measures in order to curb or to protect themselves from the violence of men, and also how the society utilized the violence of men for its own benefit, for its own security. All right. Even men today are expected to be violent. The problem is that the modern society is too wimp to just come out clearly and say, "Hey, we expect you guys to be violent." However, these are the places where you are allowed to be violent. Outside these specific places, you cannot be violent. A man was not supposed to be violent to his wife or his kids. There were measures put in place to ensure that a man was not violent to his wife and kids. A man was not violent to his neighbors or his neighbors' children or his neighbors' property. There were measures put in place in order to make sure that the man, though expected to be violent, was not um, was violent only in specific places, and violence was sanctioned, if that's the correct word. You had to go get permission to be violent. Most traditional societies had that before you became violent, you had to go and get permission. And if you became violent without getting the correct permission, then of course there were punishments associated with that. So let's say, for example, I had an argument with a neighbor, and it got out of control. And I went and got a machete and hacked my neighbor, killed that neighbor. Although the community, my community, has an expectation of violence, has an expectation that I am supposed to be violent as a man, that issue has to be dealt with. And if I'm found to be in the wrong, then there will be measures. There'll be very heavy fines, extremely heavy fines. And these fines were not optional, they had to be paid. In fact, there was the choice of you being excommunicated. And back in the day, the world was so violent that you needed the collective for your own security. You were the security for the collective, and then the collective was also security for you. So there were steps which a man had to take. The only time when a man was supposed to be violent was during skirmishes and wars, when you are protecting your property. So let's say a neighbor decided to come attack me because of my property. I am allowed to protect my property. A neighboring community has come, they are attacking us because they want to take away our property. I am expected to be violent to repel them. But I cannot not just wake up and start slapping my wife. I cannot just wake up and start slapping my kids. I will be fined by my community because that is unnecessary. I need to preserve my violence streak to when it is needed. So there was an expectation of violence. Even in today's society, there is an expectation of men to be violent. That's why in Ukraine, when Russia started its military operation, men were given guns and were told to go to the front lines. They were not going there to sing kumbaya with the Russians. They were not going there to have, nice talks and debates about the good or the bad things about the world. They were going there to kill and be killed. But the modern society is too wimp to say that men are expected to be violent. They are just too wimp. They call men, stop being violent. No, let the shit hit the fan. Then they're like, man, what are you doing standing around? Go and fight. Did you even teach these men how to fight? You see, the traditional society prepared men for violence. They prepared men for violence. They taught them how to use arms. They taught them, battle drills. They taught them, in fact, all men of a certain age. So until you went into the next step of becoming an elder, because now you are too old that you could not go to war. But all men who are young and energetic were part of the military. They either played a role as spies or as, the fighting. Even the spies were expected to know how to fight. So they were trained, they went through drills. They were some sort of a military group. But now the modern society, you're expected, someone who spent most of their time streaming on Twitch and crying on social media because somebody called them the wrong word. And even some of these idiots in America who you see crying on social media because somebody called them the wrong pronouns. Now you expect to give that person a gun and you expect them to go to war. That's not even funny. That's so sad. You expect to give a person who throws a tantrum because they were misgendered. You expect them to give them a gun to go to war to protect you. Are you fucking stupid? Are you even? That's the problem with people today. They don't think. They're into their feelings. When the shit hits the fan, you need as many hands as possible in the front line. But now let's talk about the expectations of men by modern society. And this is just, I'm going to say it the way it is. The way it is going to come out. Whoever gets triggered, you get triggered. So men are expected at best to be women and at worst to be children. Let me repeat that. The modern society expects men at best to be women and at worst to be children. So they are expected to be emotional, they're expected to be irrational, they're expected to be weak, they're expected to be sniveling and dependent. That's what the modern society is raising boys to be. Emotional, irrational, weak, sniveling, and dependent. So emotional, they expect a man to always, get in touch with your feminine self. How many times have you heard that idiocy? So they expect men to be women, emotional. So man cannot just say, I don't like you because you look gay. A man cannot tell another man that, get away from me, you look gay. Or a man cannot just say, you know what, I don't like sniveling weak men around. Or a man cannot say, hey, listen, I don't believe in equality. I believe men are better and should be better than women. Person cannot say that. Why? They'll be labeled misogynist, homophobic. A man cannot say something like, a man cannot be a woman and a woman cannot be a man. Why? Because they will be labeled transphobic. So they are expected to be irrational. Because rational people know men cannot be women and women cannot be men. Because of, I don't know, science, biology. And anyone who claims otherwise does not have any does not have any tangible, rational, logical explanation why that is the case. Nobody has that. Nobody has explained rationally and logically how a man can become a woman and a woman can become a man, because feelings. Feelings are transient. Feelings are things which come and go. Right now I'm angry. In the next 5-10 minutes I'll be smiling. Those are feelings. Feelings come and go. So we are going to design we're going to design and structure our society on feelings, which are things which come and go. So modern society expects men to be irrational, right? They're meant to be irrational, to believe in these utopian things like gender equality, to believe in this nonsense that a man and a woman in a marriage are partners and not spouses. And that's why your marriages are not even lasting 5 years. I mean, there is even, like if your marriage passes 5 years, you are considered a genius or something. If you hit 10 years, if you hit your marriage is 20-30 years, you are a unicorn in modern society. That marriage should be studied. Well, because men have been irrationalized to believe that they are equal to their wives. Husbands, men should be better, you should be better than your women. There is a concept called hypergamy. Let me just take a little bit, just a few seconds. Hypergamy, which means women want to marry the best man out of the collective. So they want to marry better. They want to marry up. That's hypergamy, marrying up. Okay, so you have to be better than your woman. So women expect to be married by men who are better than them. Women will settle with men, will like settle with men who are on their level, right? They will settle for men who are on their and when push comes to shove, women will also settle for men who are below them because they can't get higher. So this is how they operate. A few seconds. This is how women operate. They want the best out of the collective. It doesn't matter if that woman is a village woman or if that woman is the daughter of a president. All of them believe they are on the same level, and all of them believe that they can get the best man out of the collective. So now, if that woman fails to get the best man out of the collective, she will settle for the second best, third best, fourth best. If she cannot get those, then she will settle for someone on her level. Like, I have no choice. Let me just settle for this one. And if they cannot even get on their level, that's when they will settle for someone lower than them. But what did they want? What did they want? They wanted somebody who was up there. But then when it came to they can't get that one who's up there, they consider other men settling. So even in your own marriage, they will still believe they are better than you. And that is a recipe for chaos in a marriage. That's when now they start pushing the partner narrative. If you are on an equal level, if she considered you if she considers you her equal, then now you are partners. My partner, my partner, my partner. So you're not superior, you are on her level. So she can just wake up and decide to move houses. Because you are equal partners. She can equally make that decision. She can decide to go on a girl's trip for 20 days without asking you. She just notifies you. You know what? On Friday, I am going to a girl's trip for 20 days. And there is nothing you can do about it because you are equal. And you have shown her that you are equal. Anyway, you're supposed to be weak. They expect you to be weak. Okay? They don't expect you to be able to defend yourself. No, they don't expect you to be violent. Let me just use that word. They only expect you to be violent when now violence has come to them, and then they will look at you. Listen, and this is what is wrong with men today is they listen to women. They listen to women to tell them what a man is. They listen to people who have never been men a day in their life to tell them what or who a man is. And that's why you see today's men are weak. They cannot even hold a conversation, a debate, without getting emotional and getting triggered. Listen, we were having a session one of these days with some youths, and I was trying to say that fathers that fathers are the ones who are dependent on, or fathers are very important in a society, in a community, especially in raising boys. That fathers are critical in the raising of boys. And then a man stood up, a grown-ass man with a beard, probably a man who has several kids, whether or not they are in his house or not, stood up and said, "No, I am here to tell you that what we need is mothers." And to tell you, this is someone, if you met him on the street, you'd think he was a manly man. He had locks like me. He had a bigger beard. He had, beard gang. Looks very, and he was in shape. He looked like a manly man. But then his insides was womanly. Because for him, how he interpreted my statement of we need men to be raising our boys, or we need men in the home in order to turn out boys who are men. In his mind, he's like, we don't need women. That's how he translated. So him, instead of going with content, he went with contexts. He started to interpret my words. Then I understood him, because probably he was a son of a single mother and he felt like his mother was being attacked, which was not even the case. And even if I was attacking her, why didn't she stick with his father? See, right now, that woman raised a womanly man, a weak man, a man who looks physically strong, who looks outwardly like a man of substance, but inside he's weak and sniveling and emotional and dependent. And that's the problem. You see, back in the day, if you saw a man, you knew that was a man. Today, you see a man, and probably they are one of these transgenders, transformers. This suddenly, it is mom, it's not Mister, it is mom. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Back in the day, men were men. Okay, what you say, what you saw is what you got. What you saw is what you got. Right now, everybody is so emotional, so confused. They don't even know who they are. So how the hell am I expected to know who you are if you don't know you? Men are expected also to be dependent instead of being self-reliant. They're to be and to be dependent on women. Like if a man is not dependent on his woman, oh my God, that man is such a misogynist. Now, this is the reason why the traditional society was correct in its expectations of men, and the modern society is wrong. Traditional expectations were correct, the modern expectations of men are wrong. This is why. Number one, the society is full of problems that need solutions. And men, the way we are wired, we are problem solvers. Okay? We see a problem, we are looking for a solution. And that's why most women who are raised today just think that we are here to be an emotional sponge for them and to just sit and listen to them talking about their problems. And now the man is there thinking like, okay, now what do you want us to do? He's like, no, I'm like, what do you want me to do about it? So there is this guy who is always harassing me on the road when I pass. So unataka tufanye, unataka twende tumsalimie, unataka twende tumuongeleshe. Well, no. Actually, me, I don't think that. No, me, I just want you to listen. You're like, why are you wasting my time if you don't want me to offer solutions to you? And it's something which I said the last time I was having discussions with some of my friends, is that stop wasting men's time with your problems if you don't want solutions. But the women were like, no, we just want you to listen. We don't want to listen to your problems. We already have enough problems of our own that we are trying to solve. We don't have time to listen to your problems. So the best thing you can do is go find some girlfriends who will be listening to that nonsense, because they understand that the only expectation you have of them is to listen. Men, this is how we are wired. Problem, solution. That's it. Men think logically. And this is a useful skill in solving social problems. Okay? You see, okay, now we are having too many divorces. So what's the issue? Men will start to analyze that problem. They say, our women, this modernization of women has contributed to that. Yes, this emasculation of men has contributed to that. So what do we need to do? We need to start raising manly men, and also start bringing men back in their homes, because now we are raising masculine men and manly men. We are also raising feminine women who will come in and complement the masculine men, and then now at least we are having stability in our families. So now if you have stable families, then you're going to have a stable society. That makes sense. You see, problem, analyzing it, breaking down into its simple components, starting dealing with this is the solution for this, possible solution for this. And if one solution does not work, They'll say, yeah, they'll start troubleshooting. So what did we do wrong? Oh, yeah, this is the place where it did not work. Why don't we try this other thing? But a man, before he goes to solve societal problems, he must first solve his own. Like Jordan Peterson said, clean your room. That's the first thing. Solve the immediate problem within you. Am I overweight? Am I an emotional man? How can I become more manly as a man? Before I start pointing fingers to women and what they are doing wrong, what am I doing wrong as a man? What are we doing wrong as men? Right? There are problems that require a firm stand, a firm hand. A man who is ruled by his emotions cannot take a firm stand. And even if he takes a firm stance, he takes a firm stance on irrational things. A logical man, when he says this is the stance, everybody around him understands this is the stance because this man has thought about it logically. And do you know why our wives are always arguing with us, are always second guessing us? It's because we have not proven that we are logical. If your wife is always arguing with you, always second guessing you, it's because you have not proven to her or to even to yourself that you're a logical person. You are emotional. And that's why she looks at your decision and thinks, now, how the hell did this man come up with this thing? But if you are a logical person, if you are a logical person, then you can say, you know what? This is the position and this is it. They should be like, that makes sense. Or I don't understand why he's saying what he's saying. Just a second. Oh yeah, we are back. So she will this is her thought process. I don't get why he's saying we do this, but he has proven, he has a track record of being logical and thinking things through. So yeah, this might work. I don't understand it, but I can accept it. So man has to be in control of his family. And when I mean control in capital letters. In control of his family, meaning in control of his wife, in control of his children, in control of himself. I know that's going to trigger a lot of people. Oh no, how do you say that men need to control women? No, I said men need to control their wives. If you don't have a husband, you go get controlled by the streets. I said a man needs to control his wife and his children. So if you're not a wife, please, Ngamdomo, go get married first. That's the first thing you need to do before you start talking about issues to do with wives. And if you are a wife and this thing has triggered you, please go look at yourself in the mirror. You are part of the problem that I'm talking about in modern society. And if you are a man and you are triggered by that thing of control your wife and children, dude, I would rather you just went over to the women folk and started calling yourself a woman. Now, on self-reliance, a man is expected to provide for his family and his kids. That's something which has not changed since men and women started making babies. So self-reliance is important. And a man, if you're a young man looking for a wife, the first question you need to ask yourself is, can you provide for yourself? And providing for yourself simaanishi chapati chafua na kukula muguka the whole day. I mean, are you able to take good care of yourself? Are you eating healthy? Mahali unaishi, are you comfortable? Now, do you have extra? Do you have something extra that is remaining after you, after you are taking care after you've taken care of yourself? Do you have something extra that's remaining? If the answer is yes, then now it's time to start thinking about a family. Okay? But if wewe bado uko struggle, uko hand to mouth, uko no, you are not ready. You're not self-reliant. So how can a family rely on you? Alafu ukuje uwe mtu mwenyewe kwao ni watu wa twins. So the first time you have kids wanatoka wakiwa double. So now you went from a 2-family home to a 4-family home just like that. And then because hizi vitu lazima zikuliwe, the next time she gets pregnant, twins. So now you went from a 4-family home to a 6-family home just like that. Can you cope? Now, men are required to be proactive by the traditional society, right? So as a man, you need to anticipate problems. How do you anticipate problems? By being logical. So I went drinking yesterday, and now that I went drinking yesterday, I had budgeted for 1,000 shillings, but I used 3,000 shillings. So now I'm at a loss of 2,000 shillings. This 2,000 shillings was money that I had expected to go pay a debt to so and so. Now that I cannot pay this debt to so and so, and I had promised him that I'm going to pay him today, he's going to come to my place expecting to find these 2,000 shillings. Now, what do I need to do before so and so comes for his money? Proactive. You look at an issue, you look at the possible problems, you look at the possible solutions, and then you put them into motion. So you are proactive. You're not waiting for so and so to come. You're not waiting for Mwegas to come, start asking for his money, so that you start telling him hekaya za Abunwasi. You had enough time between the time you discover that you messed up to the time I'm supposed to come for my money. You should have put in place mitigation measure. Either you should have called me and told me, hey, ile ndo nilikupromise, by the way, sijapata. Even if it's to lie, sijapata. So please don't come. Let me see if I can get it tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Sawa sawa. If I don't get it the day after tomorrow, I will copa and pay you. So now I am feeling bad because I'm coming for my money and you don't have the money. But at least you called me before I even came to you to inquire about my money. So that thing works for you. I probably had other things I needed to do, and I put them aside because I wanted to come get my money. But now, since you've told me you don't have my money, I can go do my things. And also assured me that after 2 days, I'm going to get my money. Irrespective of whether you've earned it or not, I need to just find my money. You see, proactiveness. Also, it is a violent world, and the capacity for violence acts as a deterrent to those who would otherwise take advantage of those under the man's charge. So you are supposed to be violent because you are people you're protecting. So what is the expectation of a man? Provision, protection, leadership, and also procreation. Okay? Provision, protection, procreation, and leadership. So how are you protecting if you're not violent? There are times when you need to be violent in order to protect those under your charge. So the expectation of violence is very good because if somebody comes at you, listen, if somebody knows that you are ready to go to to the mat with them, you are ready to go to blows with them or with anyone if they cross a certain line. You see, people will start avoiding that line. They will not cross it because they understand how far you're willing to go to ensure that somebody doesn't cross that line. So, what would be the advantages of starting to masculinize men in the modern society? Like, what will be the outcome? of masculinized, or the masculinization of the modern society. Number one, we're going to have less abuse, because when you masculinize men, you teach them that being violent is a tool of protection. So that violence is not supposed to be used on people under your charge. So they know where they need to put that violence. And that's why you see back in the day, there were those games, wrestling, races, in order to deal with the testosterone of the men. So they come in, they challenge other men, they become aggressive with other men, of course, in a safe way. And they get that thing out. And then there was the narrative, the expectation of the society. Because a man who abused women and children was considered a coward. And being a coward in the traditional society was akin to being hanged. Nobody wanted to deal with you. You wouldn't sit with other men drinking beer. No men would come to visit your home. As in, no woman would want to be married to you. No family would want their daughters to be married in your family. So being considered a violent man was the worst thing that would have happened, other than banishment from your society. Because banishment meant death. Because out there were wild animals, and also you are now open to attack from other communities. Because you have something they want. They'll just come and snatch your kids and your wife and go and kill you. So you are safer within your community. So you had to live within the tenets and the principles of that community so that you can be protected. So the issue of abuse was so small, and it was ruthlessly dealt with. Ruthlessly dealt with by the community itself. So once they saw that a child had the tendencies of sadism and all, they will put measures in place to get that thing out, to deal with it. Okay. Now, if we masculinize our society, then we'll have more children being raised in intact families. So divorce rates will drop significantly. We'll have more women being married. And the strong, independent women and the men who think like them will be excommunicated. They will be told, you're strong and independent. Yes, and you believe in strong and independent? Yeah, just get out. Go live your strong and independent suko inje. So they will die out alone. They will die out. And then a society that sticks together will start emerging as these strong and independent women and those men who believe in the strong and independent nonsense are weeded out, and just go out there and take care of yourself. So you are a strong and independent woman, okay, get out of our society, get out of our community, go be strong and independent uko nje. So people are attacking you. You're strong and independent, take care of yourself. 911, no. What's your name? My name is blah blah blah. They look at, strong and independent. We are sorry. You are strong and independent, and I think you should take care of yourself. You call, hi, my roof is leaking. What's your name and where do you live? You are strong and independent. Take care of your own roof. I am strong and independent. Don't need no man. 911, help! I'm being mugged. People are breaking into my house. What's your name? No, you're strong and independent. Take care of yourself. You said you don't need no man. Unfortunately, in our police station, we only have men. But you said you don't need no man, right? So, or call your neighbors, other strong and independent women. So boys will be taught the ways of men, and girls will be taught the ways of women. So masculinity and femininity will come back. And because femininity and masculinity attract each other and it's complementary to one another, it sticks. It's like opposites in a magnet, stick together. And our generation will be morally upright. The woman will know her place, the man will know her place and their roles, and they will play them to the maximum because that is what is expected of them. There will also be less crime because now we are raising children well. And listen, in a society that is masculine and feminine, there was a level of togetherness, a cohesiveness. People knew one another. You just show up and everybody knew, that's a stranger. So a stranger will not get into my community without people noticing this is a stranger. And then somebody just, hey. And that's what used to happen in the traditional society. You saw a stranger passing by, you invited them to your home. And during that invitation, they sit down. It's an interrogation. So who are you? Welcome to our yeah. This is our area. This is what we call this and this. So where do you come from? Who are you looking for? You're looking for Mwangi. Which Mwangi? You have a lot of Mwangis around. That one. Yeah. You call one of your kids. Hey, go to Mwangi's house and tell him ako na mgeni. Na mgeni wake ako hapa, akuje amchukue. So Mwangi shows up, looks at the guy, is like, we ni nani? Sikujui. Ati umesema unatafuta Mwangi mgani? Which Mwangi are you looking for? I am that Mwangi. So, do you know me? No, I don't know you. I was sent to you by so and so. Or, now this person has been caught because probably came into this community to do mischief. And when asked who he was looking for, the first name that came to mind was Mwangi. And then this person, because of the way of the interrogation, because umekalishwa chini, unakunywa kachai, you are being, and because you don't want to look suspicious, you want to answer those questions. Then suddenly Mwangi wa kwanza anakuja, si huyu, ni Mwangi mwingine anakuja. The next thing ni chief anaitwa. Hapa tuko na mtu amepotea, unaweza kuja umuonyeshe anafaa kwenda wapi. So if this person was anticipating or had plans to do things in that community, then that thing has been sorted and that person is caught because people know one another. So now, the traditional society had a way of distributing wealth. Yes, we had people who are wealthy, but then we really had people who are poor. Okay. So you had wealthy and not so wealthy. We had wealthy and not so wealthy. Because there was a way that the traditional society had set itself up in a way that the community took care of itself. So I will not have 1,000 acres and I have a member of my family who has no land. I will be considered a glutton, right? I will be considered mean. And that would work against me. So what will I do? I will call that family member, shave at least 10 acres, give them. Because out of 1,000 acres, 10 acres is what? Not even, is it 10%? It's not even 10%. Is it 0.1% or 1%? Shave off 10 acres, give it to them. So now the society looks at me as a generous man. And it hasn't cost me that much. And then I have rescued my family member from poverty. And then when that poor person has daughters, they know that these daughters will be married off and I'm going to get bride price. All right? So they knew how to balance wealth. And how do I get wealth? I have to raise my daughters right. Okay, so they are the people who will get me out of this. So I've been given 10 acres, so I'm not poor. But then now I raise my daughters well so that they catch the eye of a person, of a son of a wealthier person who now is going to give me livestock in exchange for my daughter. So now I have land and now I have livestock. Bride price was simply a way of distributing wealth. But then people look at bride price like, oh, wanauza wasichana. Yeah, everything is a commodity in this world. Time is a commodity, body is a commodity, children are a commodity, I am a commodity. But they knew how to use what they had to get with. And then there were, of course, there were measures put in place to ensure that people are not greedy. So, like the Kikuyus, there was this saying that you can't sell your daughter for more than you bought your wife for. If you wanted to sell your daughters expensively, you had to buy your wife expensively. So what happened? It is natural for everyone to want to get things for cheap and sell them expensively, right? But now if I bought my wife for that cheap, then I will have to sell my daughters for that cheap. And then there were also families, daughters of chiefs, daughters of other wealthy men. There was a way wealth was being, like, you just knew a daughter's worth from the family she came from. So if your son wanted to marry a daughter of a wealthy man, you knew that that wealthy man paid a lot for his wife. So now you have to be ready to pay more. And so you'll encourage, that's why back in the day, it was men did not go looking for their own wives. No. It's the family which took charge of that because they knew their capacity and they would go get the best for the price they have. Anyways, so how do we masculinize the society? How do we bring back manly men? This is going to trigger a lot of people, but lazima tuiseme. How do we masculinize the society? Number one, bring back gender roles. Bring back gender roles. Number two, bring back shame. Bring back shame. Number three, bring back the rights and passage for men and women. Right? You are not just a man because you are 18. You are not just a woman because you are 18. You have to have gone through certain stages, certain lessons, certain classes, and somebody has certified you to be a man or to be a woman. And then also let's teach our culture in a genuine manner. There's a lot of misinterpretation, misrepresentation of the traditional culture. And most of this is because of the Western influence. Let's just look at the issue of bride price. They frown upon it, like, why are you selling your girls? But then for them they expect an engagement ring, which is probably more expensive than the bride price you are expected to pay for your wife. And then they are expected also to pay for the wedding, which is, so you put those two together, you find that they just label is different, but they're just doing the same thing. So why don't we teach our culture? Why don't we be appreciative of our own culture? This nonsense of people going down on their knees pisses me off. Men, you're only supposed to kneel to people who are higher than you, who you consider higher than yourself. So let's teach our traditions and our culture. Let's remove the bias of outsiders. If an outsider, even within the continent, even within the nation, if they look at certain cultural practices of a different ethnic community, they can't understand it. They will misinterpret it because they don't understand it. So let's bring back manly men. Let's take charge. Let's take control. It's only by doing that all this nonsense iteration. So it's been your boy Mwegas, your man Mwegas, and this has been the Mwegas show, and this has been the Masculinity. Sawa? Masculinity Sunday. So let's meet saa moja usiku 7 p.m. for Shenanigans Sunday. So this is one of those. In the morning we're going to be having serious discussions about masculinity and men, but then in the evening we are going to just take a laid back look at the society. You know, not so serious, not so deep. Just come, have a bit of fun, talk about some serious stuff in a non-serious manner. But in the morning when we're doing Masculinity Sunday, because masculine is serious. Thank you for those people who have joined the live. While when you want to watch after the fact, I also want to thank you. Thank you very much for always supporting me and for watching my videos. Please comment if you need more information, if you are thinking about more topics, suggestions, concerns. Post in the comments. Don't be afraid. I respond to all comments, and those ones which I don't respond to, at least utaona react me, but yeah, I love, let's talk. And for those people who help me with content, those people who send content in my inbox, I want to thank you. Thank you, Alfred. Thank you, Hamza. You guys have been very consistent in sharing, and it also helps me in formulating my content. So other people who have my contact, just send content, send things you want me to respond to react to talk about. It helps. Sawa sawa. So it's been a pleasure. It's been Masculinity Sunday with me, Kamau Wamwega, and this is the Mwegas Show. Let's see each other at 7 p.m. tonight.